What's going on, guys? For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Ty, and today in this video, we're going to be talking about Elio, Pixar's brand new original feature-length theatrical release that just came out in theaters. That was a lot of words, but either way, I've got my vintage Disney shirt on, hopefully you guys can see it, and I am ready to talk about this film. Was it good or did it utterly disappoint? That's what I want to dive into here, but I think it's best if we start off with my context and my history with Pixar. I know that sometimes people say, I've done something my whole life, or I've enjoyed something my whole life. Maybe they're like, oh, I've played basketball my whole life, but they started playing when they were like 10. Someone's like, oh, I've been into cars my whole life, but they started getting into them when they were like 12. Pixar is something that I could say, and this is kind of crazy to even think about, I have literally been enjoying my entire life. The second I was born, I feel like I was literally just watching Pixar movies, and now I'm 22 years old and I'm still watching them, even just going back to the old classics when I was 2 years old, when I was 5 years old, when I was 12 years old. Up until this point, Pixar has literally always been there since I was born, which is kind of crazy to think about, but I absolutely love Disney films. Not afraid to say that. I also love Pixar. Obviously, both of their tracks, I guess you could say, have been a bit on the decline in the 2020s, especially with the whole Disney Plus era, but I don't want to get into that today. But is Elio actually a good feature-length film? Is this a great original from Pixar and Disney? Let's put it this way. I think that this is a good DreamWorks film if this came out from DreamWorks, but I think that it's just an okay Pixar film. One thing I would like to make very clear is that I actually really liked this movie. I liked this film. I just didn't love it, and I just still feel like it didn't live up to that Pixar standard, that high bar that I have set for them, justifiably and rightfully so, because obviously they put out like most of the greatest animated films of all time, so I don't think it's unfair to really have a bar like that for them. I think one of the things that kind of bothers me a little bit with this movie, and I'm going to get into the pros and the cons, but just generally speaking, is about what I just said about how if this was a DreamWorks release, I honestly would really like this film, and I'd be like, wow, you guys did a great job here, especially because DreamWorks, they're a bit hit or miss if we're being realistic. They have their classics. I'm not disrespecting them, but Pixar's just on a godly level, obviously. They've been dominating for 30 years. But when it comes to Pixar standards, it's just like okay, and I think that it's just very safe. I think it's a very safe Pixar film. Now, one thing I do want to bring up too, this movie's kind of been in development hell, sort of. I mean, there was like delays. There was a trailer for this movie like 2 years ago, I feel like the first little sneak peek. So I don't know what's been going on with this film, but basically it's just been delayed. I don't know if it's been reworked, but either way, it kind of feels like they just wanted to get this film out of the way and just release it because there hasn't really been that much marketing for it as well. But I think it's best if we dive into the pros here. My favorite thing about this movie, I think, is its exploration of themes. I think that, first of all, it talks about grief in a really great way. Elio lost both of his parents, and he's trying to find this escape in the world. Or you could say out of this world. Wow, I mean, that just lined up perfectly. I'm sorry I had to. But in all seriousness, he's just obsessed with aliens. And he's like, you know what? Maybe somewhere out there's another world that will just want me because he feels so alone. And that's also the secondary theme that kind of just go hand in hand. They're running parallel where he is suffering and he's kind of like, dealing with the grief process. But he's also trying to fit in. He's trying to find his place in the world. He's trying to find a family. And he has an aunt, a guardian that's looking over him, but they're just not really getting together. They're just trying to work it out, especially because, this is such a tragic, horrible thing. They were kind of just thrown into this unexpectedly, and you can't just expect his aunt to just be like, okay, this is super easy to just take on a kid all of a sudden. And even for him, now he has no parents, so he's looking to this aunt figure as like a guide, of course, and it's hard for him to accept the fact that she actually does love him because it's hard for her. So maybe she isn't perfect, quote unquote, like his parents were, like how his parents treated him just because they were his parents, but she's trying her best and she's struggling because she's all alone. Again, that's what this film is about at its core, and I think it does a really good job at delivering those themes. Now, the vessel that those themes are actually carried in, aka the plot and the story, I don't know how much I actually loved it through and through, but we'll talk about that in the cons, but either way, I thought it was great. One thing I will say too, this movie actually does try like a couple of little cool things that I really did like. I think there's some really funny jokes. Another thing I really liked is that there's like 3 or 4 small short sequences that kind of use the space element or the space theme, I guess you could say, in a horror light. Like, they actually try some, like, little horror things that honestly had me kind of creeped out, especially towards the beginning when it's like people are trying to, you know, get in contact with aliens and just were introduced to the aliens for the first time. There's actually some creepy scenes in here, like, genuinely, and I liked that slight creative risk because, you know, obviously it's a children's movie at the end of the day, so they can't have kids, like, crying, but there were some moments where I was kind of just getting, like, chills down my spine. Like, there really is infinite space out there, and we don't know what's there. And it's kind of scary if we do know what's there, or if something actually responds back to us. That's creepy. So, like, the sound design was really good with some of the things they tried to do. That was great. And again, there were 3 or 4 really, like, funny-ass jokes in here. I'm just gonna be honest. Like, maybe that doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean, like, things that actually have me, like, laughing out loud. Really clever. I think that Elio as a character also is definitely solid. Again, going to the themes about how he's grieving, he's trying to do what's right, but also maybe he's not going about it in the right way because he's just a child. He's trying to fit in, so what does he have to do? What does he feel like he has to do? He has to change for other people, and he has to lie, but he learns that's not the right thing to do. And it's not like he's really trying to harm anybody or do anything bad to others. It's just that he's trying to fit in. He so desperately wants a family again, but unfortunately, he'll never get back the family that he had, but can he find that next one? That's the question this movie tries to respond to, I guess you could say. Almost like the aliens responding to Earth, you know, like how I just mentioned. But I think it's time to get into the cons, and the thing is, I do have more pros, but I'd rather just dive into what I didn't really like about this film first. Like I just said, it's very safe. This plot is very safe, and it kind of just is your normal alien movie that's animated. That's pretty much all I could say. Again, the themes are the only thing that really makes it stand out, but on top of that, the animation style is just so safe. I mean, so unbelievably safe, to a point where every single character in here, I feel like their designs are just awful. They're just awful alien designs. There's really nothing creative here. Sure, they're like random designs, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they look good. Elio and his aunt, it's like your standard Pixar look, I guess, kind of like Luca, or kind of like, I guess you could say, Soul in a way, where they're just normal looking people, or like Toy Story, the people, the way the people look. But I wish they just tried something different for once. I know they just announced that in like 2 years from now, we're getting a new Pixar film called like Gato or something that's going to have like watercolor paintbrush animation. That sounds awesome, but this animation is so safe. All the character designs I strongly disliked, and that's why this kind of reminded me of like a DreamWorks film, because I feel like they don't really try to do anything too crazy. Sure, maybe with Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, but realistically they never really do. And I feel like Pixar is always known for like breaking boundaries and trying to do some crazier stuff, but the character designs just make this genuinely so boring to look at. And yes, there are sometimes flashy colors because we're with aliens, but that's not enough to really sell me and like hook me. Again, the story, we're kind of just bouncing back and forth between like Earth and the alien kind of area, I guess you could say, or planet, and things are kind of just all over the place. And we're like, again, it's kind of exciting at times, but there's some conveniences that happen, and it's just not all that interesting, I guess you could say. The first act, I want to make this very clear, was awesome. Like, I actually think the first act was like the best act of the film, and then the next two are kind of just like fine, which is okay, I guess. But also, you know, when I'm sitting there for 2/3 of the movie and I'm like, this is fine, it's not really a good sign for your film. But overall, listen, if I had to really, you know, dive into this film, I don't really want to dig at it, but my mind immediately went to this thought. I feel like the reason this film suffered, and the reason that it's not just so incredible, is because I feel like Pixar has found this new groove where, in case you guys haven't noticed, basically every June for the past couple years, they've been dropping a film in theaters. I feel like they should really stop with this annual release schedule. Maybe every 2 years in June you should release a film, or maybe every 18 months, like you do like one in June, then one next December, then one in June, one next December. Give yourself 6 more months on each film just to really hone in on a great idea, animate it really well, get a great script. But I feel like this yearly turnaround is really hurting them, and I think that this film is a prime example of that, because last year Inside Out 2 came out. It was really good. It's the highest grossing animated film ever, basically. It was awesome for them and for fans. But I feel like the only reason this film released was to be a buffer between Inside Out 2 and Toy Story 5 that comes out, guess when? Next June? And that's also why I feel like this movie got delayed, because like I said, it did get delayed. So it's kind of one of these things where I'm like, is this film kind of just like a filler Pixar movie? And do they know that? Because honestly, that's how it feels. It's pretty safe, and it doesn't really wow me. And I think it was good overall. I don't think the emotions really hit me, but it does some little creative things. But it's just slightly forgettable, and I just don't feel like it's really a Pixar film. So listen, at the end of the day, what do I rate Elio? I think I'm going to settle with 3 stars. Like, I definitely am, I lean positive on this film, I should say, but I'm just not in love with it. I don't think that it's just like some incredible Pixar film. I don't think it's a film that I'm really dying to rewatch, but I would rewatch it, which is honestly a good sign, because trust me, there's so many films that I give like 2.5, 3 stars where I'm like, I don't ever really need to watch that again, but I still feel like Pixar did enough in this to make me say, hey, you know what? Maybe if I'm bored, if it's on Disney Plus, sure, I'll rewatch it, but I'm not going to be actively seeking it. I think it's just fine. It's okay. You'll probably have a good time with your family, but it's kind of one of these things where it's like, okay, I guess we're just on the road to Toy Story 5 now, which I'm sure they're going to be spending a lot of time on because they probably feel the pressure for it to be good, I guess you could say, or need to be good. Again, it kind of feels like this film was set up for failure slightly, and in a way, like I just said, it's just a buffer between sequels. And it's one of these things too where, I mean, I don't mean to be rambling for too long here, but Elemental came out 2 years ago now, again, right in this June slot that they keep doing. That was their original film, and I didn't really like Elemental either. I actually liked Elemental even less than Elio, so this is just one of these weird things where it feels like they're going original sequel, but only the sequels are good. And, you know, if you're going to make a good sequel, more power to you. That's great because we love these characters. But at what point is it just borrowed trust rather than making an actual good film? I think Inside Out 2 was awesome, but obviously you're building on what you already had with the first film. I really want to see a great original film from Pixar. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I really, really have hope for this 2027 film that they're coming out called like Gatto or whatever it's called, like the Italian watercolor printed film or animated film, I should say. That seems like it's going to be awesome. We just got to get through another sequel first with Toy Story 5, which hopefully is good. But from there, maybe, just maybe, we could enter a new Pixar renaissance period where they're actually cooking up original films. And this isn't a Pixar hate video. I still think Pixar still has it. It's just a matter of, I don't think that this film was like really all that, but I'm sure it was affected by like the writer's strike, and I don't want to say COVID, but definitely the writers and actors strike. But listen, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think down below about Elio, if you guys liked it or if you even want to see it. I'll talk to you guys in the next video.